Hello everybody, Tahoe Yak Fisher here. We are working on the motor project of my Wilderness Systems Recon 120. I have worked out the hoist and the steering, and I'm going to share with you guys what I did here. So we've got the motor mounted on the back here, and here is the steering arm that I came up with. This is a Yakima snap-around bracket, a couple of pieces of thread coupler, a couple of bolts, and a couple of thumb screws, and a machine screw there in the middle that I cut the head off of to make a little piece of all thread to connect these two bolt couplers here. So I really wanted to be able to use these little carabiners so that the motor was quickly disconnectable from the kayak. I store the motor inside the house because I store the kayak outside. And I came up with this idea. I took this thumb screw and I ground the leading edge off and drilled a hole in it and used the nut there to lock it in place, and we have got a pretty cool little quick disconnect steering arm. Now going forward, we've got some rope that has a long acronym, but it's also called Dyneema. So 1.3 millimeter Dyneema cord for my steering cord. Has almost a 580 pound, I think, tensile breaking strength. And that's going into the stock Wilderness Systems channel. So we're going to go up here and take a look at the steering. I used Select Designs rudder steer pedal assemblies. Bought them on Amazon. They were, I think, about $45, and they work pretty well. Again, those channels are in place, and we've got pretty smooth rudder steer in both directions. We maintain all of our foot peg adjustability, and we just have a cinch knot here connecting that to the pedal. Very simple. Now here's that cord that I used for the steering cables. So let's look there. UHMWPE fiber, also known as Dyneema. And it's pretty neat stuff. It's got kind of a shiny sheen to it, so it is frictionless, or reduced friction in the channels there. It seems to slide really nice. So that's our steering system. Now our hoist mechanism. Check this out. The stock seat retention system has this little plastic plate here, and I removed that and drilled holes and countersunk some T-nuts in there to be able to mount it to that, so I didn't have to drill any holes in the hull itself. We've got some utility cord coming back. I've got a pad eye there, and I used those two factory locations for two more pad eyes, giving us a triangulated pull, which makes this pretty heavy motor, and it's quite a bit heavier than the 30 pound I had on my last kit. Still pretty darn easy to hoist. Now, if you guys remember, when I modified the motor, I had a piece of utility cord in here. Because this motor head is so big, it was wanting to flop from side to side as I started to hoist it out of the water. So, simple little upgrade, beefed it up a little bit, put this eye bolt in here. It's a 1/4 20 thread, not too tough, and that kept it wanting to stay straight as I hoist it out of the water. So you've got this here. We're going to grab the ball, pull it straight forward like that, and our motor is out of the water. Now, just like my other kayak, because the steering arm is under the pivot, it gets longer as the motor is hoisted. So I had to reduce how far up the motor will go. However, if we take a step back here, which I got to step off my deck to do this, the prop is well out of the water. Now, I have a solution to improve it. I just haven't decided if it's necessary yet. Now, if you can imagine, if we go back up here to the pedals, if I shorten this piece of channel that the pedal is on, I can make the cord longer, which will allow the motor to go up farther. And I already tested it, and it will do it. It will work. I even called Select Designs and asked Ryan what he thought about that idea, cutting this channel a little shorter. And he said as long as it wasn't too levered out of the channel, it would be no problem. And so 2 inches is what it would take. Cutting this channel 2 inches shorter would allow me to hoist the motor to straight horizontal with this this cord system. But for now, we're going to roll with it just the way it is and test it out just like that. So, steering and hoist is completed. Now, if we back here to our block here, I take this cord, I give it a little up tug. That lets me drop the motor right back down. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about with this hoist system, and just like my previous kit, I removed the locking mechanism. So this motor doesn't lock in any position. It is always free. Now, because the steering arm is below the pivot, instead of a reverse lock, having pressure on the foot pedals locks the motor in the down position. So you do not need a reverse lock. And as long as you have some pressure on your rudder pedals, the rudder pedals are what is locking the motor in position. And I have tested this on my previous kayak. It worked fantastic. Forward and reverse, I had no trouble not having a lock mechanism and not having reverse lock. So I'm confident it's going to work great again on this system. All right, you guys, so that's it. I am going to move on to wiring. I have got some great ideas that are ready to go, but I want to do a separate video. We're going to put the speed control on the seat right there on that ram ball, and you guys will see where I'm going with that on my next video. So thanks very much for watching. Tight lines, Yak Fisher out.